Once a business is past the startup stage, a whole new set of challenges emerge. We'll talk to owners today about how to operate in that second stage and how they got a grip on their business. Rob, today we're talking about operating systems, and among business owners, very, very common to talk about the idea of either working on your business or working in your business, where you're really mired in all those details versus you're setting the vision for the company.
Yeah, I think that's an idea that's been around for a long time, in your business or on your business. It's almost a day-to-day kind of decision for a business owner. Am I working on it or am I working in it? Am I the product or am I the visionary for the business? And so, I think it's common for business owners to think, my business is so unique, nobody's ever done this before, that I really can't get help from somebody from outside. And I think that isn't really true. There are some things that are just common about growing a business. So there are processes and disciplines that if you know them, and you can learn them from somebody who's gone before you, somebody who's run a business, grown a business before, taking the time to learn those processes, those disciplines, to be a student of growing a business, really can be helpful to anybody in the seat of a business owner.
Yeah, when you as your business grows, there are more things that you embrace, that you now have, that you now own, and you find yourself owning every seat in terms of accountability, which means you cannot step away from running that business. Right. It's just, you're getting to the point where you can't get to that visionary role anymore.
And it's a little bit of a trap for a lot of business owners. So you really do have to be careful that you're pushing responsibility down, if you can, into the company, and you're not necessarily the product in every day, in every situation. So understanding a process for growing from one stage to the next stage, from one phase of your business to the next, and the role that you must play as the business owner is a real insight. And again, it's an insight you can get from people who've gone before you, who have run a business and grown a business. Perfect.
Well, I'm really excited about today's show. I think today's show is the show that helps business owners know or can help them love their business again.
Perfect.
I'm Lisa Smith, and this is Focus on Business. Here with me today is Sue Tellier and Chad Paalman. We're going to be talking about the Entrepreneurial Operating System, two owners that have implemented this system. Can somebody just set the stage for us? What is EOS?
I nominate Chad for that.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I can tell you EOS is I often refer to it, and EOS probably wouldn't like me to say this, but I call it the Business Operating System for Dummies. And I say that because it really is just an easy to follow, well laid out set of tools that takes years, maybe decades of different books, from Good to Great to the Rockefeller Habits. There's all of these different proven tools combined into one system that are easy to follow. So if you're one of those businesses that just feels like you've hit a ceiling and you can't continue, you can't grow, or you're just having some problem in your business, if you read EOS, or the traction book rather, like I did, I was on a flight to California. I'll never forget reading this, and I'm reading this book, and it was a page turner because I thought, I'm not the only guy that screwed up. There's other people out there like me. So this is what the Entrepreneurial Operating System is it's a tool set that you can implement immediately into your business. Following it is easy. Getting it off the ground takes time and discipline.
To be fair, I just have to say my firm has also, we onboarded with EOS last August, so we're fairly far down the road. But let's just talk a little bit about how EOS differs from other operating systems. We've all read business books, we've all seen it. How is it different?
So for me, it's the actual name of the book. The traction piece is the game changer. We were famous for creating these strategic plans that were realistic. We set the right goals. We even reached those goals, but it still felt disorganized. It still felt like we were missing something in that process. And we followed a lot of the books that are referenced in Traction. We followed those systems, and we still we just didn't have legs. And so I think the implementation piece for us was the game changer. It actually lays out how should your meetings go, and what should you expect from your employees, and how do you build those accountability tools in? And for us, it just gave us almost like a roadmap. I hate that phrase, but it felt like it was guiding us down the path.
Right. So EOS has components. There are a very strict set of components. Some of those components come from other books. Basically, Gino Wickman, who is the author of Traction, that's the EOS book that you read if you're going to implement it, took pieces and parts of other books, put it all together, and these components are then what you implement. Can somebody talk a little bit about those components?
Yeah, I'll start with I think the most important component is the accountability chart. And the accountability chart is really, in my opinion, and in EOS we'll say this as well, it's where everything starts. And most organizations, to add to Sue's point, you get into that spot in your business where most people don't start a business because they say, I want to run a business, right? They start a business because there's something they're passionate about, and it's usually because either nobody's doing it or they think they can do it better than anybody else. And if you're like me, and Sue, I think it's fair to say, you're a better business person than I am. But if you're like a lot of
I'm
business,
not sure about
I
that.
don't know.
But I mean, I'll take it.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I ask you for a cup of coffee for that. But so if you're like a lot of small business people, you get into business and then you start realizing as you grow that, oh my goodness, I've never been trained on this. There's no manual to follow. It's kind of like raising kids. There's no manual to follow. The other challenge, back to your question, is that if you're running your business and you've got a lot of entrepreneur spirit, you'll find that everybody's doing a lot of things, but maybe not anybody's doing everything or doing anything great. And what was happening in our business is everybody was convicted and everybody was into it and working 110%, but there wasn't clarity on who was doing what. I have my business is with my brother, and I mean, I couldn't ask for a better business partner, but it wasn't clear on who's doing what. Are we both running this? It'd be like two people trying to steer a ship.
Yeah. So I just want to say that when we created the accountability chart, I think that this is a really common experience. You realize that you're the visionary because you started the company, and then as you grow, in terms of accountability, you're also accountable for sales. And then you're also accountable for marketing, and you're also accountable for finance. And then because you learned how to do all the things that have to be done in the company, you're also accountable for lots of other boxes. And you start to realize you've got people who do stuff, but nobody owns anything except for you. And at the end of the day, it starts to feel heavy and weighty.
Lonely.
And lonely
It's
and
a really lonely
busy.
place,
You're
yeah.
working till 10 o'clock at night. Everybody else is saying, see you around at 5:30, right? And so something's got to change. This is that entrepreneur to second stage owner experience that's pretty common, right? I want to just quickly, though, get back to what are the components of EOS, because I agree the accountability chart is the secret sauce and that visionary integrator relationship. But what are those other components?
So I think it's funny that we just keep taking tangents because we're so excited about the topic. I think that's spectacular.
Let's
because
do
we're
6 or
all so
7
excited.
shows.
Yeah, exactly. Each show will take a piece of the
I
pie.
was going to be talking about EOS, and they said, "Don't you talk about that every day?" And by the way, I do not receive any royalties.
And how many of these are in your trunk right now,
I
Chad?
have a box of books that I give out as gifts to friends.
So smart.
Yeah, I bought all these. They're.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. So let's see, the 6 pieces of the pie. We've got vision, we've got people, we've got process, we've got data, we've got traction. What am I missing? What's the 6th one?
So I was thinking the components being the vision traction organizer.
Right.
Accountability
gotcha.
chart.
Right.
Scorecard.
Yeah, the level 10 meeting. You said the VTO already.
I said the
Yep,
VTO. I think
VTO,
there's
yep.
5 components, but
Accountability
then there's
chart.
6 when it comes to scorecard. So those are those things. All right, so let's talk a little bit about challenges. This is not something for the faint of heart. It's something you have to really commit to. What was the most challenging thing to implement and why?
So we are a self-implementing company. And
What does that mean?
so that means that we did not hire an implementer to guide us through the process. We read the book, we downloaded the tools, we worked with a small business development center, and we had some accountability from that. We failed. The first time through, we just failed. It was in the fall when we were going through our strategic planning process. In our company, we're also a family business. My husband and I run our company together, and we were doing the same thing where we were both running the company and who's doing what. I didn't engage him. I mean, he and I were the leadership team at the time, and I didn't engage him properly in developing that strategic plan. And so when we were March in the following year, and it didn't feel different. And I had to look back at it and realize that I didn't do it right. I mean, I completely failed at it. I didn't engage with him. So for us, it was actually the getting started piece for us spread out over about 6 months, where I had to completely restart and realize that the failure was completely mine. And then when we actually started the implementation process again, and he and I were both engaged with it, it was magic. I mean, it was perfect. But we still had problems when we got to the people block. Yeah. When you get to the accountability piece, people leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just want to back up a second and say, so that everybody's aware, SBDCs, Small Business Development Centers, are across the state. I know that we also did self-implementation. We did self-implementation with an SBDC support. Right. So basically somebody comes in, helps you do it with your leadership team, and that is free.
Right.
Which is amazing.
And powerful.
I can't say enough about that. We actually, we invested in a professionally certified by the EOS worldwide implementer. And we continue 2.5 years later to still engage our Jim Coyle is who we use out of Kalamazoo, and he's fantastic. But we actually augment Jim, and both parties know of each other. We augment his services with from the free resources you talk about to help us specifically with our scorecards. That was the challenge we had, was dialing in our scorecards, and we continued to use their resources.
That's surprising to me, the scorecarding piece, because you guys are so natural at scorecarding.
Our problem is we had too many scorecards.
Oh, sure. Data's so fun.
We're
so fun.
Being an IT company, let's have 100 data points, right? And
right.
you know, so you lose it. You just get in the weeds.
Right.
Yeah, we're still tweaking ours. I mean, we're 9 months in, 7, something like that. We're still tweaking the scorecards, still trying to get those numbers. So the scorecard is, from what I understand, so these are weekly metrics that business owners decide that they are the critical data points that if I decide to go lay on a beach for 2 months in the winter and somebody hands me my scorecard once a week, I can look at that scorecard and say, as the owner, everything's going okay. It's not saying, oh, this happened a month ago and now we have to react. This is real-time data so that I can course correct and see where I'm having problems weekly. This is not a quarterly benchmark. This is important stuff. So I have certainly struggled with the scorecard, and we continue to work on it, but it's been revolutionary for us. We learned every single time we created a data point, and we continue to learn. So yeah.
I have a failure if you're interested.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah,
we like your failures.
Oh, so many to say.
So owners, I mean, it's nice sitting here with owners because we make so many mistakes.
Yeah.
It's just part of life.
Right.
And until you have that owner-to-owner relationship and partnerships, people to talk to, it's hard to say how, you think, oh, I'm not doing this right. I'm the only one. There's everybody around me successful, but it's nice to hear you guys say that we've had failures.
Well, I've just embraced the concept that if I feel comfortable, I'm uncomfortable. So one of my first failures with EOS was I'd read the book. I thought, okay, we need to do this. For me as a visionary, and you probably can relate to this, it was a no-brainer. I read the book and we need to do this tomorrow, maybe even today.
Yep.
And I went back to...
Impatience is good, right?
My
Visionaries.
My brother and my dad and I started the company together in 2005. And I'll make this long story, try to make it really short. I said to the two of them, we need to do this. We went out and did the free day where they evaluate you evaluate them with the implementer. And we finished that day, and the implementer said to us, and I'll say his name, Jim Coyle, because I give him a hard time about this. He said, I'm not going to bring you on as a client. And I said, what do you mean? My money's good. You're not going to bring me on? And he said, no. He says, you guys need to go back and figure out what's your business direction. Where are you guys going? And my brother and I had one direction that we wanted to take the company, and my dad had a different direction, and it really forced us to bubble that up. And my dad was at that point in his career where he said he wanted to retire, and he said, you know what, you guys take the direction where you guys want to go, and I'll retire. And I don't believe that would have happened if we hadn't had that kind of forced onto us, or really an outside person saying, you guys have, he actually said, you have 2 different boats rowing in 2 different directions. And that was really powerful. So 2 years later, I happened to run into Jim again, and he said, "Hey, did you guys figure all that out?" And I said, "Yeah, we did." And he said, "Well, come visit with me again." And I'm so glad we did. It's the best money we've spent. The unintended, maybe next fallout, though, is what you said, Sue, is the people.
Right.
You will have people, once you put that accountability chart together, you will have people that leave. I'm not ashamed to say that I lost an employee in a leadership position because he didn't like the title that we created. And he's a great guy. He's doing great things today. It's just that those little nuances like that.
Sure.
So.
And we really found it was more on the accountability side. It wasn't necessarily what we were calling positions. It was more, this is your responsibility now. And if we're not seeing the results of it, then that's on you. That for some of our employees was just a dramatic shift. They felt it was harsh, I think.
Yeah.
So I look at the employee side as a couple of really important things. One, when you set the values of your company, that affects the employees. It affects who's there, right, and it affects who you hire. And we have made 2 hires since we've implemented EOS. We've hired for values. One, we have a gal who we took from a very large national company, was doing international marketing analytics, and came to our company because she loved what she was hearing on the value side. Didn't have all of the chops or really any of the certifications we needed, but because the values were so strong between us and her, it was a great fit. And a month later, we're seeing it absolutely was the right decision. Conversely, we have employees who didn't, you
Right.
kind of measure them up and you say, do they align with our values? And there are folks that we did not hire for values. And for whatever reason, it feels uncomfortable for them when you talk about, these are our values, this is what we're going to live for, strive for, this is why we do what we do and why we're here and who we want to have alongside us. So there's the values and then there's the accountability chart. And accountability chart means everybody's got a number.
Right.
So even if it's the receptionist number might be you answer the phone by 2 rings. So your number's 2.
Right.
It could be that simple, or it could be you have X amount of revenue targets as sales. So it can be very complex or very simple, but the reality is even that little number can be very frightening for somebody who's never owned it, who you didn't say when you hired them, you're going to own this. This is your number. This is how we operate. Everybody's going to be working toward our goals on a quarterly, annually, 3-year, 10-year plan. And so those 2 things to me were the big employee revelations. I would say the vast majority of the people that were in the shop looked at it and said, yep, this is what you should be doing. I have a long-term employee who 3 years ago, we saw EOS at a conference together. And he said to me, we need to implement this. And Lisa, you should not be running the company as the integrator. And I went, well.
Who are you to tell me that?
You're probably right, actually, is what I said. But then it took us, I loved it. I saw it. I didn't read the book. The minute I read the book, then I was completely in. Sure. But there's a lot to be said for that. Yeah.
Is that employee still with you?
Yes. Yeah. And it was the right thing to do.
That's amazing.
Let's talk about that integrator visionary relationship, because visionaries, now you own everything.
We both probably have an answer for this one.
My husband and I really, I say we own and operate the company together, but we're actually owning and operating 2 companies out of the same location. And what we realized really last summer, we made some modifications to how we operate those companies, because we can both play the role of visionary. If I have to, I can step in and integrate, but it's not ideal. So we really decided that instead of me wearing too many hats in both of our companies, that I needed to let go of one of them and really focus on the other. So for us, that we hired the people that we needed to hire to actually get things done. So from an integrator perspective.
Right. So the integrator really is the one that's running the day-to-day operations. Absolutely. I want to just quickly say, what's the cost? We've only got a minute left. What is the cost on not self-implementing if you hire
If you
somebody.
get a professional firm, and there's no set rate, but you'll find that the professional implementers are charging somewhere around $5,000 per day.
Per day.
Per day.
Yeah,
And if you think about it, you've got a quarterly meeting, and then you have a 2-day annual planning meeting.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Glad to have you here, and I look forward to your growth, hearing what's going on with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Build a better marketing strategy with InVerve Marketing. The way we buy has changed. It's time to dream bigger. With digital marketing, you can build your business faster, measure and evaluate results. Let us help you find your marketing superpowers with inbound marketing, driven by strategy with inspired creativity. Why not put some verve in your brand? Market and grow better with InVerve Marketing.
We're talking about operations, the importance of having good operations structure in place. The last thing that you want to have to really worry about in terms of operations is IT, because it can go wrong so quickly. When you have to scale up, it could be a big investment. Can you give us some hints on how to manage that scale up?
Well, what we see a lot today is not that we're going to invest in money in devices. We're talking about the term technology as a service, or some people have taken it beyond that and call it everything as a service. Just like you want to hire an employee, what does that employee need? They need a desk, they need computer equipment, they need a phone, they need access to services. Well, all those services today are just, a license for a seat. And so the devices are coming the same way. So without a lot of expense, if you just add it up and say a new employee is going to cost me, let's presume that there's a desk already there, but to get them up and running, they need a license for this, and that. They need these devices, and all that can be acquired as a service. And the number is, I'm going to make something up, $150, $200 a month for the whole package, and that's an easier number to swallow. And a lot easier for the business decision maker to say, I'm going to get the revenue for that employee, so now I'm willing to make that the operational expense.
Right, interesting. So if you want to make that move to technology or everything as a service, how do you get that audit? How do you know these are the things that I'm going to need? Every business is different. There's no kind of prepackaged stuff out there. What do you do?
Right, well, somebody's got to decide. So the people that are in charge of the IT now need to do that, but the business decision maker just needs to understand, I don't need to spend $3,000 for equipment to have somebody in that seat. I can do it at a low monthly cost.
Can you do that for the next added employee?
Yes.
Or do you have to do that? I have 10 employees, I want to add 11, I've got to take all 11 into this new world of
No,
as a
do
service.
it one at a time as you grow, and
Okay.
then as the other stuff becomes old and obsolete and retires, now we're just going to replace it with a device as a service, which is a little different than a lease, because there's no $1 buyout or those types of things. It just becomes similar to the cell phone market,
Great.
where you're acquiring it, and when you want to upgrade it, you upgrade it, and you don't have any additional costs. You just keep paying the same price.
Okay, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Focus on Tech, brought to you by Providence, making technology easier.
Someone falls victim to cybercrime every 39 seconds. A few things you must do to protect yourself and your family from these attacks. Shake up your password protocol. Use a different password for every website. Develop a culture of cybersecurity in your home. Teach your kids good online habits. When in doubt, throw it out. Do not open suspicious links, tweets, emails, messages, posts, or attachments. Visit defeatthebreach.org for more cybercrime safety tips.
So in the process of scaling up, what should business owners be aware of?
So scaling up can be a scary process. You're growing and you're excited, but you're also needing to make sure you manage that growth. And so you have to pay attention primarily to your contracts. I would say that contracts are boring to most business owners. They just want to run their businesses, but they're also the foundation of your business. So you need to review all of your contracts, your vendor contracts, and also your structural company documents like your operating agreements or a membership interest or stock purchase agreements, to make sure that those contracts take into consideration the type of growth that you're going to want, and to make sure that you are already budgeting in those contracts for your growth, to make sure that you have the future planned in those contracts, because sometimes they expire, sometimes they auto-renew at different rates, so you want to make sure and take those into consideration. You also need to really seriously consider bringing in staff, bringing in-house some of your staff. You really want to make sure that you are taking into consideration the contracts that you could make with your different vendors to bring them in-house.
So you're talking about professional support contracts,
absolutely.
right? Mm-hmm. So can you give us maybe a laundry list of who you're thinking there?
Sure. Well, I would say primarily your legal counsel is going to be your number one. You may want to think about IT support, bringing them in-house. Marketing, you may want to think about accounting, but I would say professional, as far as accounting and attorneys, would be your first two that you'd want to consider.
Great. Okay, and then like at what price tag? I mean, how much would you be spending before you consider hire someone fractionally or bring a full-time person on?
That's a difficult question. It's always going to depend on how big your firm is or your company is, right? But primarily, I would say if you're spending around $75,000 on outside legal services in a year, that you're going to really want to consider bringing somebody in-house. And not only that, that attorney, if you bring them in-house, is going to be dedicated to working just for you. So they'll be able to review all those contracts for you.
Thank you.
Focus on Law, brought to you by Policella and Associates, PLLC.
Does your website work for you, or is it just static noise? Update your digital marketing strategy with InVerve Marketing. The way we buy has changed. It's time to dream bigger than ever before, so you can grow your business faster than ever before. Accelerate your growth potential when you measure and evaluate results with expert analysis. We'll help you find your marketing superpowers so your business can soar. Fuel your success with inbound marketing, a proven tactic that provides better lead generation for your business. InVerve Marketing provides award-winning website design, driven by strategy with inspired creativity, and the tools you need for more efficient, effective marketing. To grow bigger and faster, you have to bring your business into the future and go where your customers are. Put some verve in your brand. Where will you go? Market and grow better with InVerve Marketing.
The Entrepreneurial Operating System is a simple, powerful way to do business. Now, go get some traction for your business.